What would happen if you disappeared from your business for the next 2 weeks? Like you didn't check your email, you didn't answer your phone, you didn't respond to a single Slack message, you didn't solve any problems, you didn't have to make any decisions, like nothing. Would your business continue moving forward, or would everything grind to a halt? Today, I want to talk about a question that completely changed how I think about business. And honestly, it's a question I wish somebody would have asked me years earlier. Because there was a time when I thought being needed by everyone was a sign of success. A time when I thought being involved in everything meant I was a good leader. A time when I wore my exhaustion like a badge of honor. But eventually I realized something. The business wasn't dependent on me because I was important. It was dependent on me because I built it that way. And the cost was way bigger than I ever realized. So today I'm going to share the story that helped me see that, and more importantly, how you can start building a business that gets stronger when you step away instead of falling apart. Welcome to Beyond the Office, where we help service-based business owners build stronger systems, better teams, and businesses that can grow without depending on them every minute of the day. I'm your host, LeBaron, founder of SOPs, and each week we share practical strategies to help you reduce operational stress, create more freedom, and build a business around your life instead of a life around your business. I grew up around my family business. My mom started it when I was still a kid, and so for most of my life, business wasn't something I learned from books. It was something I watched happen like every night around the dinner table. I watched my mom work incredibly hard. I watched all of her sacrifices, all the stress she dealt with, all the time and energy and effort she actually put into her business. And I watched all the responsibility that comes with trying to provide for your employees, for your customers, and your family all at the same time. And years later, when I became an owner in the company, I thought I knew what success looked like. Grow with the company, serve more customers, hire more people, solve more problems, be available, be dependable, be involved. And for a long time, that's exactly what I did. The problem was, though, is that every year the business got bigger, and every year I felt more trapped. Have you ever felt that way? Maybe from the outside, everything looks successful. Your revenue is growing, your team is growing, your customers are happy, but inside, you feel like you're carrying the entire thing on your shoulders. You can't relax, you can't unplug, and you can't stop thinking about work. Your phone literally feels like an electronic leash. And even when you're physically with your family, part of your brain is still at work. And I know that feeling because I lived it. I lived there. I didn't do it intentionally, but it slowly happened. One decision at a time, one interruption at a time, one quick little shortcut at a time. And I think a lot of business owners, we do the same thing. Not because we're bad leaders. We do it because we care. We want to help. We want things to be done right because we don't want people to fail. But eventually, helping everyone actually becomes hurting everyone because the business becomes dependent on one person, you. One of the hardest things I had to learn was this, that just because everyone needs you, it doesn't mean you're leading well. In fact, sometimes it's the opposite, because strong leadership, it doesn't create dependency. Strong leadership creates capability. Think about that for a second. If every decision requires you, every question comes to you, and if every problem lands on your desk, then what happens if you get sick? What happens if there's an emergency? What happens if you want to go spend a week or 2 or 3 or 4 with your family? What happens if life happens? See, the goal isn't to make yourself more important in your business. The goal is to make the business less dependent on you, and that shift changed everything for me. This is one of the biggest reframes I want you to hear. Systems are actually an act of love. Most people think systems are about efficiency. I don't. I think systems are about people. They're about your spouse, they're about your kids, they're about the life you're trying to build. Because every system you create is one less interruption. It's one less emergency, one less thing living in your head. It's one less thing following you home. And eventually, those little systems, they add up. They add up to more presence, more peace, more margin, more freedom. So I used to think that freedom came after success, but now I really think freedom should actually be a part of the definition of success. So I started asking myself, could I leave for 2 weeks and come back to a stronger company? Not a company that's barely surviving, not a company that's just barely hanging on, but an actual stronger company. And the first time I asked that, the answer was no, like absolutely not. If I stepped away, things really would have slowed down, decisions would have stalled, questions would have piled up, and there would have been a bajillion different problems waiting for me to solve when I got back. And if I'm honest, a part of me actually felt proud of that because I thought being needed meant that I mattered. But eventually I realized that wasn't pride. It was fear. It was fear of letting go, fear of trusting others, fear of losing control, and fear that maybe things wouldn't be done exactly how I wanted them. Have you ever felt that way before too? Well, if you have, you're not alone. Most business owners, they struggle with that. I know I certainly did. So my breakthrough came when I realized something, and that was that doing everything is actually hurting my team, not helping. Because when we trust them with responsibility, it actually helps them feel more confident in their own abilities. A lot of owners, they tell themselves, someday I'll step back, or someday I'll take more vacations, or someday I'll spend more time with my family, or someday things will calm down. But guess what? Someday never comes by accident. You have to build it intentionally. One system, one documented process, one delegated responsibility, one empowered employee, and one decision at a time. But someday never comes by accident. You have to build it intentionally. One system, one documented process, one delegated responsibility, one decision at a time. Because freedom isn't found, it's built. And the earlier you start building it, the better, because none of us knows what's coming. Life has a way of reminding us what actually matters. And when those moments come, you'll never wish you spent more time answering emails. You'll wish that you had more margin and more time for the people you love. I don't know about you, but I do not want to get to the end of my life wishing I would have spent more time with my kids, with my wife, with my family. I do not want to wish that. And if you don't want that either, then you have to start creating that freedom right now, today. If there's one thing I hope you take away from this episode, it's this. Your business should support your life. Your life should not be sacrificed to support your business. I know what it feels like to be trapped. I know what it feels like to carry everything, to believe that nobody can do it as well as you can. I've felt all of those things, and I'm still learning and I'm still growing, but I've learned enough to know this. The goal is not to become more needed in your business. The goal is to become less required, because that's how you create freedom. That's how you become more present. That's how you build something that can actually outlast you. And that's how you build a business around your life instead of a life around your business. Before you leave today, I want you to ask yourself one question. If I disappeared from my business tomorrow for the next 2 weeks, what would break first? Seriously, write it down, post it in a comment below. I would love to hear it. What is the first thing that would stop working? What's the first thing that only exists in your head? And start there. Don't try to fix everything at once. Start with that one thing, because that answer might reveal the biggest opportunity you have to create more freedom in your business. And if this episode resonated with you, make sure you subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. Thank you for joining me on Beyond the Office. And remember, build your business around your life, not your life around your business. I'll see you next time.